Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Jess and I are both extraordinarily passionate about climate change activism, and activist theater is so great when it's done through stories that are engaging, first and foremost, and that doesn't feel like homework, doesn't feel like lecturing. And we both knew that was our in to how we can talk about this. How can we do it so it's not pedantic, but it's like exciting and engaging, and maybe we can surprise the audience in a certain way.
You're listening to the Theatre Thoughts Podcast. Welcome back to all our loyal listeners. My name's Justin, or you can call me Stin. And if you're new to the podcast, you can check out all of our previous episodes by visiting our website. On today's podcast, we sit down with Jess and Richard, who are the composer and lyricist of Scarlet the Musical, which has just released its concept recording. We sit down to discuss how Jess and Richard met, where the idea for Scarlet the Musical came from, and how activist theatre can be a driving force for good when it comes to discussing the ideas of climate change. Be sure to stick around to the end of the podcast where we hear snippets from the concept recording featuring Australia's own Maggie McKenna, Jamie Lee Hancom, and Blake Applevist. So as usual, switch on those thoughts and get ready for the Theatre Thoughts Podcast. We have a very special podcast today. We have joining us Jess Newman and Richard Lindenfelzer here to discuss Scarlet the Musical. We have the concept recording which dropped yesterday, which is very exciting. Congratulations to the two of you. How are you both?
Good.
Great. So Richard is joining us from New York City, which is our first here on the podcast. And Jess, you're in Melbourne.
That's right. Yes.
Is it a late night for you, Richard?
Not too late, not too bad. We've got 2 good hours every day where we can where we can meet without it being too extreme. So we found it. We found the sweet spot.
Excellent. I'm very excited to have you guys here to talk about Scarlet. So I'll just give a little bit of background on the two of you. So Jess, you're an Australian award-winning composer, lyricist, performer. You're the winner of the 2017 New York City Centre Encore's songwriting competition. You performed an original song for the late, great Stephen Sondheim, which is amazing. And Richard, you recently finished your MFA in musical theatre writing at NYU, and your show Hammer is currently being produced as a special workshop production, which is also incredible. So you guys have an extensive experience in musical theatre, but could you kind of tell us the story of how you two met?
Of course, yes. So we met in grad school, and the way the program works is it's sort of like speed dating. They pair you up on different projects every week until you go through. So the words people and the music people work with each other, and you work with someone different every week for a different project. And we didn't work with each other until the very, very, very end. And I was like, oh, this guy's so good, but I'm not getting the chance to work with him. And then our very final project, we worked together, and it was just so incredible. I was like, this guy is so talented. He just knows how to knows how to do it. And it was love at first sight.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, the faculty paired us together. It wasn't that romantic, but yeah, we wrote this one-act musical together called The Mailman, which is sort of about this fling between a summer mailman, and he forges these letters to this old lady pretending to be her old flame, and forms this pen palmanship. But we just had such a great time writing this kooky show, and I really connected with Richard's quirkiness and his ability to tell incredible dramatic stories and paint these characters through lyric. And I always just felt like I could take his lyric to the piano and instantly hear the music. So I was very excited to write with him.
So with Scarlet, could you tell us how did that come about? Where did this idea for the musical begin?
We first were sort of toying around with the idea at school at NYU. We didn't end up doing it, but Jess and I are both extraordinarily passionate about climate change activism, and activist theater is so great when it's done through stories that are engaging first and foremost, and that doesn't feel like homework, doesn't feel like lecturing. And we both knew that was our in to how we can talk about this. How can we do it so it's not pedantic, but it's like exciting and engaging, and maybe we can surprise the audience into feeling a certain way. And so that's how we decide, okay, we want to do this. We want to do this story that's big and epic and beautiful, but that talks about something that's very dire and very pressing and very urgent, which is the fact that our planet is not going to be our planet in a very finite amount of years. And so we took the lockdown sort of as the opportunity to start playing with it.
And I think that's really, I think climate change is really at the forefront of a lot of people's minds at the moment. So I know you kind of touched on it just then, but how do you kind of see musical theatre and activist theatre being the way forward in terms of the theatre scene? Because obviously we have our big returning musicals that come, that's like the ticket sellers, but then we have these really hardcore hitting musicals like what Scarlet could be for a lot of theatre. So how do you see musical theatre as this driving force for more important messages coming across to modern audiences?
Well, I think art can't replace political activism like picketing and lobbying in the general sense. But I think what art has and what music has is it has this abstract nature to it that can really penetrate us emotionally and engage with us, and stories can move us and change us and incite action. And I think that's what we're hoping that a show like Scarlet can do. As Richard said, we don't want it to be overly didactic or feel pained like a lecture, because I think people have a natural defensive response to that. But I think if people can connect with characters and a story and music and let that infuse them, and then I think they can kind of come to the cause themselves that way and meet it there and really feel something. I think the climate crisis, Jonathan Safran Foer talks about this a lot in his book We Are the Weather, actually, that it's like kind of psychologically perfectly designed crisis for humanity not to deal with, just because we deal with immediacy as humans. We find it hard to deal with the problem in the abstract, and the climate crisis is kind of an abstract issue in a sense. We can see the effects, but it's hard to see the full effect of it currently. So I think something like a musical or a piece of art where we're sort of transported into a futuristic dystopian world where we can see those effects and feel those effects, that will allow us to act now in the present.
With the orchestral stylings of the show, it's got a bit of a mixture of sounds and inspirations you can hear in it. It's baroque pop, got a bit of like Wicked sounds in there, Hades Towns influences as well. So could you tell me the story of how Isaac Hayward came on as music producer?
Isaac first worked on that show, The Mailman. He was our music director in New York on that.
Oh, right. Okay.
But for our reading on that, that was the first. I think we'd cross paths at some like homegrown concerts as well back in Australia, but never met. But anyway, for those couple of days we worked on The Mailman, I noticed this guy just had this acute sense of story. I just wanted to hear every idea that he had. And then I asked him to work on, I was lucky enough to write our valedictorian song at Radio City Music Hall, and he orchestrated that and produced that. And so that was when we really started kind of working together. And he just did such an incredible job that I'd never wanted to do another project where he didn't have some fingerprint on it. So yeah, I bugged him to work on this because he's very busy. So I was just like, come on, you can do it.
Yeah, just keep prodding.
Yeah. So the way we work together, I sort of took charge of the acoustic elements. And it was always important, I think, for this show. And perhaps the reason we didn't write it in school, and I'm glad we didn't, is because the musical language is complex, as you mentioned. And it's this fusion, because how do you create a sound that is accessible, but sounds like 400 years in the future? You know?
Yeah.
And I think what we found is that's that blend of acoustic elements and then what Isaac brought to it, which is this sort of electronic synthetic world. So you can hear, those steampunk, maybe Wicked, Hadestown vibes where cogs are turning. There's a metallic sound to it. There's a pulsing sound, the sound of the machine, of the greenhouse. There's all these exciting diegetic sound world elements that we wanted to bring to this piece. And so Isaac really took charge of that for the EP. And I think I'm very proud of how it all came together and of the work that he did.
So I'll get on to Scarlet then. So it's an original post-apocalyptic sci-fi parable for climate change and the importance of climate action. It features Maggie McKenna, currently in Jagged Little Pill. I managed to see Jagged Little Pill when it opened here in Sydney. They were just incredible. And they did You Ought to Know, and there was a standing ovation mid-show, and they just brought the house down. So it was incredible. How did Maggie come on board with the show?
Well, I was familiar with their work through Isaac because they worked on Muriel's wedding together, and I'd heard some of the recordings, and I thought they had such a unique voice. I'm really a big fan of kind of unique timbre and sound in musical theatre, because often you kind of get a lot of singers who are trained in the same way, and their voices all sound very similar, but they have something that's so unique. There's a bit of a Billie Eilish even flair in there.
Yeah. And
I think we wanted this musical to sound very distinctive. And so Dean, our producer, was luckily able to get in touch with them. And
it's time for today's Lucky Land horoscope with Victoria Cash. Life's gotten mundane, so shake up the daily routine and be adventurous with a trip to Lucky Land. You know what they say. Your chance to win starts with a spin. So go to LuckyLandSlots.com to play over 100 social casino-style games for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Get lucky today at LuckyLandSlots.com.
Available to players in the U.S., excluding Washington and Michigan. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
They and sent through a few of the demos, and luckily Maggie liked them, and they came on board and did such an exceptional job. And we were working in isolation, kind of just back and forth across email. But I look forward to hopefully one day working in the room with them on a project in real time.
So, Richard, where did the lyrics sort of come from for Scarlet? What was your kind of creative process for creating the whole idea of the world of Scarlet?
A lot of the big story stuff Jess and I would sort of map out together, and then something that was new for us that we've never done before is it's sung through. So we were like, okay, how are we going to do this piece that's very operatic in scale and sentiment, really? And I think that was like the challenge we gave ourselves. And for me too, that it's sort of exciting. I feel like I that was my hook in. Like I wanted some sort like a little like, well, what's a thing that I can do for this piece, like that I have never done before, that feels exciting and feels challenging but still feels like meaty. And that was it. It was to have characters who are singing about these larger than life, otherworldly ideas. But in a way that's crystallized and very human and very intimate. And hopefully when, as we keep working on it and we get more and more material out there, that will only be truer and truer.
Without giving too much away, can you kind of paint us an image of what you envision the world of Scarlet to be for audiences?
Yeah, it's dark, literally dark. So in our world, in Scarlet's world, there's no sun. The sun has been blocked out by sun-reflecting particles that were pumped into the sky by all the world's leaders 500 years prior. And because of that, everyone lives in a tundra. And it's dark, it's very bleak. People are hardworking but not happy. And that was a really cool image for us because it feels very bizarre for a musical to have, to have an ensemble in winter wear living in like in a really dark, bleak, sort of miserable place, but clearly there's something in their hearts that keep them singing.
Yeah, well, I think color is also a really important element of the show. Scarlet, there are songs that aren't on the EP that are called Yellow, and I think but even in the lyrics on the EP, I think color does come into that.
And how the color permeates through the darkness that's at the beginning of the show, little by little.
Yeah, and so much of the show is really about belief systems we hold and how that influences action. And I mean, you can see the way that would relate to climate change. But I think, so we really see the visual language of the show being very important and color being very important and ensemble being very important. We really see it as sort of like this operatic show where, these kind of parables, the cult of soulism, which believes the sun is real, features prominently, and these myths illustrated on the stage. I think that'll be an important part of the visual language as well.
So what's the next step for Scarlet? So Richard, the first step I assume would be getting you out here to work on it. Is that the first thing, or is the other way around?
Can we get him a ticket? We haven't seen it. We haven't seen each other in like 2 years. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know. First step, getting into the same half of the planet.
Yeah, that's the hardest bit, isn't it? It's just getting on that plane and actually getting out here.
Yeah, I mean, we were so excited to get this cohort of Australians and so many performers and musicians that I never met before that I'm so grateful that I know now. And I know we want to take advantage of that. Like, I know we want to keep pitching the show to Australian theaters because there's just something so special, I think, about the team that's been assembled, and we'd love to sort of keep going in that direction.
I think the concept recording is sort of like a good calling card for the show and a good way for producers to sort of hear what that unique sound world is and get excited by that, to hear the full score, which we've just recently finished, actually.
The full score. Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a gargantuan task, but we're finally there. There is a full show, and we're definitely excited for Australian audiences and audiences, also in the US, to hear this show and see it on stages soon, hopefully.
Well, best of luck with it. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today to discuss it.
Yeah, thanks, Justin. Yeah,
thank you so much, Justin, for having us.
Richard, hopefully we'll get you out here soon. We'll work on getting you a ticket.
Yeah, exactly. Can't wait.
Soft and hidden in the embers of the cold, so enduring, slowly luring, calling me to lose control.
And what if I fail them, trip and derail them? Far stronger men have too little avail. Employed what they had, and they had more than me.
Hungry for a decade at least. All the great house could manage went to fighters out east, and I could only wait at the watchtower gate till the moment I awoke at 8. To the sun and back, to the sun and back, to the sun, to the sun, to the sun and back. I will send my love.
Scarlet, the concept recording, is out now and can be listened to wherever you find your music, including Spotify and Apple Music. Well, that's that's all the time we have left here on today's podcast. Thanks for listening in, and all of the things from today's show can be found under the podcast section on our website. To help us grow our podcast, share today's show on your socials and tag Theatre Thoughts Oz. That's Theatre Thoughts AUS. Thanks again for listening in, and we'll see you next time here on the Theatre Thoughts Podcast.
Have you ever wondered how your favorite performer actually feels? Well, here's your chance. Welcome to The Quiet Part Out Loud with me, Bobby Steggert, Broadway actor and now a therapist to a whole host of Broadway creatives. Part interview, part therapy, this is not your typical podcast. We'll go right to the heart of things with some of your favorite artists, what they still struggle with, what lessons they've learned, what they haven't figured out yet. There's enormous power in saying the quiet part out loud. Are you listening?
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.